Wow.
All of a sudden, in a snap, I think maybe because it's been so warm for so many people, kind of doesn't really feel like it for a lot of you. Let's start at Texas, because essentially a piece of this energy is going to be part of that mess all the way through the beginning of next week. So 2 to 3 inches of rain. There's your snow into New Mexico. We need it. The state is so dry. Texas, we're dry, not as bad as New Mexico, but we could definitely use some rain here. So here we go. There is our bowling ball, and you can see it with this counterclockwise flow. That's going to keep rotating and moving eastbound, and then there's other pieces of energy that kind of come together to make this the huge storm it will be along the East Coast. Not only that, you know what? I didn't even point that out yet. Let me back it up here for a second. Oh, let's see if I can back it up. I just wanted to show you the moisture that was coming off of the Pacific as well. So that's going to help increase that moisture coming across. Thanks, Jillian. You can kind of see it down here. You see these these clouds right here? That's moisture. That's your southern branch coming across. And you can see it making its way all the way into Florida. And that's one of the reasons that we could see rainfall rates of 1 inch or more an hour. So you have the two systems now drawn on the map. And there's your disturbance that's going to be shifting east. Moisture getting pulled up ahead of this from the Gulf of Mexico as well. So notice, we have it from the Gulf of Mexico. We have it coming from the Pacific. We have mid to upper level energy. There's a lot going on here. And what that means for you is you're going to see snow. You're going to see rain. So there's some of that energy coming across. Notice we already have some here in the Gulf of Mexico. There's more energy that's going to dive down, and so they will all at some point come together and form a nice low. Right now, over the past 6 hours, we have seen that rain, that snow into the panhandle. You know, we've got moisture. There's not loads of it. We'll see a lot more as everything moves eastbound for us here. But there it is, filling in for our Thursday and our Friday. You see the energy from the Gulf, the energy coming from the west, and that means rain all the way into the southeast as we head into our Saturday. Jim, let's get some more details about what's happening in Texas.
Yeah.
So that same wind is going to continue. So it's really today through Saturday we're going to feel the effects. Beachside wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour, rip currents, coastal flooding, beach erosion, all of that through our Saturday. So there your wind advisories literally go from Jacksonville to Homestead, Florida. There's the high that I was mentioning. Clockwise flow, that gives us this onshore push. So that's why you saw all of that mess coming in. Now, of course, we have our low that will develop on Saturday, and then a counterclockwise flow also means we have onshore winds on the east coast of Florida. Of course, the exact positioning will determine who gets what when. But overall, when our low is over in the Gulf of Mexico, you are still getting that onshore push. So this is going to be a long duration event for us, and our winds already gusting in Melbourne 38 miles an hour. Miami, West Palm, we're in the 20-30 mile an hour range for us, and there are your high surf advisories. You know, I wanted to ask Jordan about this because he is a surfer, and I grew up in Florida. I always thought like the waves are going to be like 6 to 13 feet, but I feel like it's better surfing conditions if you have big swells coming from far away.
Yeah, wind swell isn't the best. You want ground swell.
As always, I feel like just
choppy,
chaotic.
Messy, yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess.
That's right.
Okay, good. So, see, even though, because I tried surfing as a kid in Florida, basically you're just flirting with the cute guys. It's like, oh, teach me how to surf.
The truth comes out. I love it.
Thank you for your honesty.
Awesome. I love it.
It's so beautiful.
That is great.
It is absolutely priceless.
It is what it is. I mean, I did want to learn. You guys know that I do like learning that kind of stuff.
Yes, of course.
But they were all very good looking. I don't know what it is with surfers, Jim, but they're all just they're just good looking people.
What time's Omar's alarm go off this morning?
Low pressure here, and you can see those winds still coming on shore along the East Coast. Jim, it's going to be a mess Saturday and Sunday in Florida.
It really is.
Through weddings in Vegas, you can just go through the drive-thru and say, "Can I get married?"
Do we have news to tell us, Jim?
I have absolutely no news.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make
promise.
sure. Just wanted to make sure. I'm here for you guys. I'm going to get the guys.
But hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
All right, let's take a flight here out to Vegas. You're going to have no problems, really, but we have the beginnings of our system that will cause travel problems as we head over the weekend and into the beginning of next week. Yeah, there's a few thunderstorms here and there, so you could run into a few issues. Miami on into Albuquerque. All right, let's hit the maps and show you where else we're going to have issues. And really, today's not too bad. Yeah, you got a little bit of snow, but this is super light, maybe even just cloud cover there over the Finger Lakes for us. And we, over the past 24 hours, saw decent snow. Why so much right there, you say? There's a little bit of elevation. It's called the Tug Hill Plateau, and that's all you need. The Tugs. They're only a couple thousand feet up, really, too. You don't need that much more to squeeze out that much more snow. Look at Point Rock, 9 inches. Forestport 7, and Stokes had 9.5. Stokes Corner. So much cooler to say Stokes. Anyhow, this is our big weather maker, Jim, that is going to wreak havoc on the southeast, Florida, and then the entire I-95 corridor.
Yes, pretty.
It's Thursday, December 14th at America's Morning headquarters. We're monitoring a building flood threat for the weekend. Friday, flooding could strike East Texas in the Houston metro. That then shifts to the Gulf Coast and Florida. On Saturday, windy coastal storm will carry the risk of flooding up the I-95 corridor as we head into our Monday. Anybody with early holiday travel plans this weekend should stay weather alert because, Jim, I think the best way to describe this is it's going to be a doozy.
I'll take doozy. I'll take.
This is Sense Elementary School. Stephanie, they used to write your report cards. Stephanie, great student, everything's on time, She talks too much. She's too loud. We got to separate her from people. Yeah, I did ask.
Right, you're very inquisitive.
Always the person in class. I had no shame in my game. I have no idea what you're talking about. Please explain again. Hopefully you're not raising your hand and saying that to us. So we explain the weather as best we can so you can understand it and use it and protect yourself and just chat about it with others. We give you words to use at parties. A lot of parties coming up. There's going to be a lot of small talk. Oof, small talk can be rough sometimes. So we're going to give you some cool weather things to talk about. You know, because weather, everyone always says, oh, how's the weather, right? It's always something people talk about with small talk. So we have this disturbance aloft, and this gives lift in the atmosphere. And as that swings east, it's going to bring a lot of messy weather with it. First, bringing snow here into New Mexico, Colorado, on into even Oklahoma and Kansas. Rain on the front side of this. Notice our temperatures aren't too cold, but you have a cold pocket aloft and then some cooler at the surface. That's going to give you a better chance of snow getting all the way to the ground. Through the day, this is going to fill in. We'll see a little more of that moisture come together for us, and then it's going to be sliding eastbound. We need the rain, Amarillo down to Lubbock, also into New Mexico. Very, very dry in the state of New Mexico. The plains get it as we head into our Friday, so it'll be wet on 70, also on 40. And, you know, I think Albuquerque is going to be pretty okay. It's just going to be driving northbound there on 25, where you'll run into the problems with the snow and the slick roads. But hopefully, you know, as we get into our Friday, when a lot of people usually are traveling, then we'll see things a lot nicer. It will be coming into Texas as we go through not only today, Jim, but it's going to be continuing its path eastbound after that.
Oh, it sure is, and up the East Coast.
A piece of what we've got going on here into Texas is going to help cause our huge storm into Florida, and then, as Jordan showed you, up the coast. So we're focusing in Oklahoma, Texas, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Heavy snow here into Albuquerque. Couple things to point out on our water vapor. There's your upper level low spinning. And then you see this. This is moisture coming across the Pacific, the southern branch, getting all the way in, actually pushing clouds and showers over Florida already. But this is all going to combine to give us very wet weather. We're going to draw it for you nicely here on the map. There's your jet, there's your low, and that's going to help increase moisture, both of them actually, because the jet actually brings you moisture. The low gives you that oomph and that lift. It's also coming in from the Gulf here at the surface. And so we've got moisture from a couple different layers that will be involved. Disturbance aloft, swings east. And we do get reinforcements. You see, there's a little piece, if you look right under the banner where it says Saturday, that's another little piece that's going to come in and play a role in this as well. But we also have energy here in the Gulf of Mexico. So we've got it coming from multiple different places. It eventually becomes this nice little low, really not a nice little low, kind of a nasty little low that's going to bring really unsettled weather. We've seen the rain and the snow already Temperatures, they're too warm for rain. And notice our dew point temperatures into the 30s. So we don't have like loads and loads of moisture right now, but we are going to see things really beef up as we go through the day today. Look at that more heavy rain coming down into Oklahoma City, Dallas, moving over into Houston for our Friday. Saturday, we'll be crossing over the Mississippi River, and then it will continue its trek eastbound. As it does so, we could see flooding with this. So tomorrow morning, it's Texas, stays in Texas through Saturday morning, and then along the Gulf Coast and even over towards Florida, rainfall rates can be an inch an hour or more. How about that snow? Well, we're going to get a solid 5 to 8 inches for us here. Higher elevations will get more snow as we can squeeze more out of the atmosphere. But I got to tell you, if you look at Albuquerque, Jim, almost the entire state is in a drought with the exception of like this tiny sliver in that northeast corner. So we could use any precip we can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beachside, we could see 50-mile-an-hour winds today. Rip current, coastal flooding, beach erosion, all happening through Saturday, not only because of the high pressure to our north, but the low that's going to develop. So wind advisories literally stretch the entire length of the east coast of Florida. There's our high, and all that's wind is just pushing the water, the sand. Last hour, I was asking Jordan about surfing because, when I was a kid growing up here, I always felt like when you had that east wind, people would try to surf, but it was choppy and not great. And I was like, isn't it better if you had like a low way out here and you got the swells from that? Just as a smoother, Jordan, right? It's just a smoother.
You wouldn't have the wind to deal with.
You don't have the wind to kind of mess it up.
Yeah, clean waves. That's what you prefer.
Clean waves?
Clean waves.
I
Instead of choppy waves.
I do like clean waves. But yeah, they're going to be choppy. There'll be people out there. Would you go out there on a day like this, Jordan, or no? It would be too choppy for you, or you'd still try it?
I don't know. I have to look at it. That's why a lot of people will go and park and just watch.
Yeah, watch
and they'll decide once they can see. Yeah.
Okay.
It just depends.
Well, we are going to see. I guarantee there'll be somebody out there, though, and I know Jordan will say there will be somebody out there.
You weren't here yesterday, but there were kite surfers.
I like the story about why you wanted to surf.
So when I was a kid, we grew up at the beach. That's what you do when you live in South Florida. And we used to try to learn to surf because the surfers are always very good looking. Every surfer is good looking. So yes, it was a little flirty, but also I was interested in learning to surf, which, by the way, is extremely hard. Wind gusts in West Palm already at 36 miles an hour. As I mentioned, they could be up to 50. So watch for that high surf advisory and the winds that are just going to get worse as we go through the weekend. Jim, I don't know if you've ever tried, but the paddling out is exhausting. And then paddling ahead of the wave to get up on your board, I just couldn't go fast enough. If someone pushes me on the board, I can stand up and do it fine.
I learned in Western Washington.
I can't give away all the goods.
Will you show me?
Thursday morning, so it's time to get to your front lines, and we're going to begin in Europe, the world. The big question here, Jordan, is, the pandas that we had here and then they went back?
Yeah.
Did their, blood thin out? Are they going to be, freezing now?
That's a good question.
Reacclimate?
They're going to be like, wait.
Lit and on there and having a battery power. Whether you're traveling by boat or plane or train or the Heel Toe Express or however it is, we want to talk about where you'll have issues. We do have some de-icing going on at Denver with that cooler air in place, and maybe some delays here, Albuquerque into Miami, but I don't think we're going to see really too many problems for us. So let's hit the maps here, hit the roads, and see what we are going to be dealing with. And I'll tell you what, here into New York, this is all very, very light. Mainly just cloud cover, a few little spritzes of snow. It's heavy, though. Up here into the Tug, you're wondering, why do we have this big purple bullseye where we saw over 9 inches of snow? That's the Tug Hill Plateau. Little elevation, a few thousand feet. That's all it takes. Now, we do have some snow coming into New Mexico. Rain on the front side of it. An evening. Even a little lightning snow going on for us here. I got to look for those lightning strikes because I know they've been there. We see some down here in Albuquerque with a little bit of that rain for us, but it's definitely lift happening in the atmosphere. 25, 40, 27, they're all going to be wet today, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, Jim.
All right, let's talk about once this thing evolves and gets its way to Florida, because we're going to make up some.
It is Thursday, December 14th at America's Morning Headquarters. We're monitoring a building flood threat through the weekend. Friday, flooding could strike here into Texas. and the Houston metro. It shifts then as we head into the Gulf Coast for our Saturday and Sunday. And then by Monday, it is going to be going up the I-95 corridor here. Anybody with early travel plans will definitely need to take note of this, because it's not only the rain and the flooding, it's also going to be really, really windy. So let's find out. All of this is actually beginning way back in New Mexico in the Southern Plains. That's where Jim starts the story.
Yeah, so it's
next on America's Morning Headquarters. We are sounding the alarm coming out of the sky. All right, let's talk about where it is, not only in Colorado, but Kansas, and really down here into New Mexico. Taos, that whole area, the Sangre, would you say it for me, Jim? I always have trouble with that.
Sangre de Cristos?
Yeah. I don't know why my mouth doesn't want to say it. Sangre de Cristo.
Abrams, it's just like fuck your county. Just let it roll.
Way. Sangre de Cristo. I don't know why. It's like one of those words. You know?
What about the Sandia Peaks? Can you do that one?
Which ones?
The Sandia Peaks. That's just east of Albuquerque.
Sangre de.
Yeah, the Sangre de. I got to do it slow, I think. Sangre de Cristo. See, there I can do it.
Get a little bit more tongue in it, Abrams.
Sangre de Cristo.
There you go.
Faster.
I'm gonna practice. We had a foot here. It's 5. We all have those words, right, that we have trouble saying.
Oh, God.
Low pressure. This is what's causing all that snow in the Sangre de Cristo. Coming in. Why are you laughing so hard? It's making me laugh. Rain on the north side of this. I had a teacher once who couldn't say aluminum. That's a tough one. I don't remember, but it was tough. Like, no, but that's the British way, I think, to say it is aluminium. Anyhow, yes, aluminium is how they say it. Yeah. Okay. Snow, rain. This is our big weather maker. It's going to be moving out of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Got it now. I just needed to get the right emphasis on the right syllable. Clouds and rain moving here on 40, 70, and then that's going to make a mess of the south and eventually the entire I-95 corridor. Basically, north of 40 is where we'll see a lot of that snow, up 25 as well. Listen, New Mexico needs it. It is super duper dry for us here, and so we could use all the moisture that we could get. It's going to be making its way in Amarillo, another place, Amarillo down to Lubbock. Jim, also pretty dry.
Yeah.
And we have it basically into the Four Corners, the Southern Plains, and then it's going to drag its way along the I-10, I-20 corridors, making its way into Florida. So what's going on in the atmosphere? Let's first look at the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. We've got a low pressure spinning around the Four Corners. That's our lift. That's our oomph. That's our cold pocket. Then we also have our subtropical jet streaming from the Pacific, coming all the way over into the Gulf, pushing its way into Florida. That's delivering moisture and also some energy as well. Boom, we're going to dry it on here for you nicely so you can get a better idea of what's happening. But it's not only what's happening in the mid to upper levels, which is what you see here. We also have to look what's happening at the surface, because we are getting moisture pulled in from the Gulf of Mexico northward, and that means that we're going to be able to squeeze out a lot of it from the atmosphere. This disturbance gives us lift. Also, it's cooler air, so that snow is going to help get all the way down to the ground. That energy moves east. And watch, there's another little piece that drops on in. You see it right under the banner where it says Saturday. So you get some reinforcements coming down from this, but you also have more in the Gulf of Mexico. Eventually, this is all going to come together and make a mess of Florida and the I-95 corridor. We do have our dew point temperatures on the lower side. Now, these are all dependent on the temperature of how moist it is out there. So the closer the temperature and the dew point temperature are together, the more humid it is, the farther away, the drier it's going to be out there. These are pretty low, but again, you have to remember where you have snow, the air is colder. And so that dew point temperature, if it's low, can be a little bit closer. The Sangre de Cristo Mountains getting that snow. And then, thank you, it is all going to fill in and push east. Oklahoma City, Dallas, College Station, Houston. It will bring a flood threat with it as it crosses over the Mississippi on Saturday. And then Saturday into Sunday, it is a mess in the southeast and into Florida. So through Friday morning into really Friday into Saturday, it's Texas with the flood threat. And then as we go along the I-10 corridor here for our Saturday and Sunday. But snowfall totals here, 3 to 5, some of us getting 5 to 8 inches of snow. But let's have a little bit of a closer look at what's going to happen into places like Houston with Jim.
Yeah, so
he winds 50 miles an hour beachside, and that goes from southern Georgia all the way down into Homestead, Florida. It's thanks to this high pressure to our north, clockwise flow, bringing that east wind. So that's pushing everything on shore. It's just consistent push, 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 push. So that means rip currents, coastal flooding, beach erosion. This is all the way through Saturday, by the way, because of that onshore push. And then we have the low develop. And when the low is over the Gulf of Mexico, counterclockwise flow. If you go out counterclockwise, you're still going to get an onshore push. Look at us gusting already. West Palm at 45 miles an hour. Miami 29, Melbourne 38. So that's going to create high surf because the wind pushes the water. And then watch what happens when our low develops. Okay, so you'll see it here and just wait for it. Friday, we still have a little bit of rain in South Florida. Saturday, things are going to get gnarly. So there's your low, counterclockwise flow. So you're going out. This is counterclockwise flow, still getting that onshore push here. Saturday and Sunday are going to be just a mess in Florida. It all starts to pull away Sunday, but then it rides up the East Coast, which we'll get to in a minute. So that means coastal flood advisories, that water rise here, again, from Georgia down into Florida. Rip current risk is high. No, we're going to have the best waves to surf because all that wind just stirs everything up and makes it chaotic. But I know people will still try to be out there trying to get some surfing in, but be really, really careful. And if you're not, I mean, even if you're an experienced swimmer, you shouldn't be in the water. But if you're inexperienced, stay very far away from it. Jim.
Yeah, it's just going to be ugly.
Thursday morning front lines in Australia. Destination. Or perhaps you are taking a plane. Let's show you where you are going to have some delays for us here. And right now we just have our big storm system starting to take shape. That is going to wreak havoc on basically Texas, the southeast, and into Florida in the coming days. But today, Denver has been de-icing this morning, and we might have some delays. But overall, if you have problems, it's not the weather. All right, so if they tell you it's the weather, though in Florida it is a little bit on the breezy side, so that could cause turbulence, so keep that in mind. A little bit of snow here, that is, poof, be gone into New York. And we have had very heavy snow. You wonder why that purple dot with the 9+ inches of snow. That's Tug Hill Plateau. All you need, 3,000 feet. That'll squeeze out a lot more snow, and it has done that for us here. That's all it takes. Does not take much. We've got snow also into New Mexico. Sangre de Cristo Mountains getting it. Heavier rain into Texas, and that's moving up the plains. This weather maker will cause issue on the highways, not only this morning, Jim, but even this afternoon because it's going to be making its way east.
So bragging rights.
West Palm had a 45-mile-an-hour gust.
He only got 45 miles an hour.
It is Thursday, December 14th at America's Morning headquarters, and we are monitoring a building flood threat, as you can see, for the weekend. Friday, flooding could strike East Texas for us here, even into the Houston metro area. The flooding then shifts into the Florida Gulf Coast as we head into our Saturday, and it will be a windy coastal system. Then it goes up the I-95 corridor for us here, and it is going to be a messy Monday for a lot of you. Anyone with early travel plans should really pay attention to this because it's not just rain, Jim. I'm telling you, the winds are going to be a huge component.
Yes, and you and I were talking earlier.
It is the holiday season, but it's also home fire season. That's according to the U.S. Fire Administration. Half of all heating fires occur in December, January, and February. And 1 in every 7 homes, home fires involve heating equipment. You know, like little space heaters and stuff. Those happen a lot.
That's one of the big ones. All right, joining us this morning to talk about how to keep your home and your family safe is Red Cross spokesperson Annette Rowland. Annette, thanks for taking the time to talk to us this morning. You launched this in 2014. Tell us how the Home Fire campaign is helping keep people at home safe.
Yeah, well, you're right. We launched this in
pretty obvious of why January, December, January, February, the heating months cause it. So what is, some of the biggest issues? Is it really, I feel like we hear space heaters, space heaters, space heaters.
Yeah, so they're space heaters, but they're
Take the holiday season, for example. A lot of people have Christmas trees up and things like that. What's kind of the number one thing that they could do to prevent those types of fires, besides keep the cat away from the tree, too?
Yeah, the cats. Yeah.
Right?
So that's a sensitive.
And then they go up
flammable
quick, really quick. I want to talk smoke alarms because usually the detector does that beep, beep when it needs to be
about
changed.
2 a.m., 2, 3 a.m.?
Always at 2 in the morning. What's the best way to keep them up to date? Because what if the beeping doesn't happen?
So this is something that people.
The old rule of thumb was every 6 months, but a lot of these alarms now have the chirping, like we just talked about. Plus, you don't want to just chuck batteries every 6 months, because you're just crushing the environment. So, is the happy medium to just wait for the chirping?
No, you want to test your smoke alarms.
Roland, Red Cross spokesperson, thank you so much for joining us and keeping everybody safe. And happy holidays to you and, of course, everyone at the Red Cross.
Thanks, Annette.
Who we love so much.
Appreciate what you guys do.
Yeah, we do. All right, we'll be right back after the short break. It's not my strong suit.
You faked us there pretty good.
I'm good at a lot of things. Being quiet, not one of them. Not one of them.
I think you're great.
Thanks, Jeff. Here's a look at the snow coming down, and we're getting it really from Kansas down towards Albuquerque. And we've had some decent totals, a foot, but overall it's more in that like 3 to 5 inch range for us here. Just a little quick storm that's going to be making its way out. There are still some advisories lingering for Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, and portions of Texas. This is the culprit. It's going to be swinging east, and it's going to leave really, left over through tomorrow. We're only going to see another 3 to 5 inches. So we don't have another kind of massive snowfall coming for us. It's rain on the north side of that. Even some cold air getting in. Look at that snow coming down here into Kansas as well. And as we go essentially Albuquerque southbound, that's where it's going to be rain south of I-40. All the snow stays kind of north of that. Santa Fe at 34 and snowing for us. This is all going to be riding along 40, along 70, and it will fill in a little bit with the rain, especially on the east side of it. And it's mainly warm as we go eastbound for us here. And that's going to wreak havoc on Florida. And then the entire I-95 corridor is going to be rough come Monday. So there's your snow. Again, not a lot, 3 to 5 for the most part. South of I-40, it's going to be mainly a rain event for you. And as we roll through time, notice as we head kind of after school, dinner time, we're going to be clearing out. Everything will be quiet for us as we head to bed. So you can go to bed and not have to worry about it. Amarillo, Lubbock, we could use some of this moisture here, and it's going to be getting into us later today. And then notice the green as we head east. That system is going to be riding along I-10, even I-20 as we go over the next several days. And then it really starts to crank. Jim, we have multiple pieces of energy and a lot of moisture that's going to be in this thing.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now,